That is the brand new subcompact SUV from Kia. It's making its world debut in India because, of course, India is the primary market for this car. Now, they say that it's named after a Greek island. But to me, it sounds like J.K. Rowling came up with this name. It sounds like a character straight out of Harry Potter. Now, is it a good one or a bad one? I'm not going to say anything, but remember, Kia likes to be a little badass. Now, in the front and along the overall proportion, you're picking up all the cues that you see on global Kia EVs. The EV9, the EV3, even the EV5. That's the kind of face you're seeing. They're calling it the digital tiger nose or the tiger face, but really not much digital about this one, except that you do get the star map LED and something called the ice cube headlamp. They are LED headlights, and it is pretty sharp. You know what? It's very different looking. It's kind of boxy, and the proportion for me doesn't really work around the side because it does look very truncated back here, but it's nice and tall, so it gives you a sense that this car is going to have lots of space inside. You've also got a nice sill that sits a little bit low, so big greenhouse. Yes, sense of space inside won't be a bad thing to have in a small car like this, and they're claiming that it's actually a compact SUV sized cabin on the inside, so we'll get to that in a second. Now, I talked about the styling up front. I've talked about this high roofline, and then at the back, you've again got a very tall tail lamp cluster. Again, star map is what their name for that is. So looking pretty cool on the whole because it does look very modern. Now, you've also got these recessed door handles and a very funky new look for the alloy wheel pattern. So on the whole, design-wise, if it's a win or not, that's something you have to tell me if you find it attractive. It is certainly very different, except for one little thing. Just this element, if you just look at only this part of the car, it feels like it belongs in the Tata.EV showroom. Come inside. Yes, the sense of space is actually pretty good. First impression, the car feels roomy, especially when you compare to even the Sonnet. The second impression, I like the styling on the inside. Different kind of materials. You got a glossy grey. There's a nice use of textured plastic. The car doesn't look cheap on the inside. In fact, all of this styling is very in line with the new stuff that's happening, not just with Kia, but with a lot of EVs, a lot of the sharper, newer, sexier, younger brands. Now, even this steering wheel looks like a complete carryover from a much more high-end, higher segment car. I like it. It feels good. You got the drive mode and the traction mode selectors over here as well, and a nice sort of notchy textural feel to all these buttons and switches. This is kind of different and interesting. I'm not sure I'm going to love it when you're sort of out on the road, but yeah, it feels chunky. It's also got a little orange stripe in it. That's an orange stripe you also pick up in the AC vents. So orange accents here on the seats too, or mint green accents. Those are the two color schemes. You also see a sort of a blue plastic texture and a blue lining or a rust lining or a tan lining on the steering, depending on the variant and depending on the exterior color. So lots of options like that, which is nice. And as I said, this part has been laid out really well. Slim flush buttons over here. You've got the AC controls very cleverly integrated into this section. Lots of different connectivity options with USB, all C-type of course now, and the wireless phone charger. You've also got wireless phone connectivity, and then let's talk about that giant screen. Now, this is something Kia is doing worldwide, and let me have the privilege of maybe pulling that off. That was fun. Okay, and this is a 30-inch screen if you think about it as one unit. It's sort of like two 12.3-inch displays, but you've got this central display here for the climate control. That's what you're seeing on a lot of new Kias and Hyundais worldwide. It's a clever idea because otherwise usually you have this black sort of a dull dead space. Now they're utilizing that space for the air conditioning, and the graphics are nice and slim and very sexy, very much in line with the cars that I mentioned earlier. So big virtual display here for the instruments, and of course the usual connectivity options and entertainment, infotainment, all of that is in here with this big touch screen, sounds of nature, and the phone connectivity, wireless, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You get that drift. It's the usual stuff that you've always seen. Now the car comes with a lot of safety features as well, and they are standard, thank God. You got 3-point seatbelts for all occupants, 6 airbags, and even ADAS is showing up on the higher version of this car. Plenty more to talk about in the back actually, so let's get there. Now, in the back is where the clever stuff starts. I like the fact that it's been designed keeping the Indian market very much in mind. This seat is fully upright. As you can see, it also reclines, which is a really smart little touch. Let me get to it. There you go. Whoa, all the way back here. It's also a 60-40 split seat, so you can do a lot of flexible stuff. Now, this is way too comfy, so let me come right back up again. On the top-end version, you also get seat ventilation, not just in the front, but also in the back. Smart touch, very clever. For some reason, we're obsessed with that feature these days in India. As we are with a big panoramic sunroof, you get that as well on this car. Now, at the back, you have your own AC vents, and there's also an air purifier that's been built in, like some of the other Kia models have had or the Hyundai models have had. Again, that's only on the top end, but most of the other stuff is pretty much standard. What I was talking about in terms of ADAS or this, you do get that at the higher end, but what I was talking about in terms of the curtain airbags, etc., is all standard. Now, the space issue. Is it an issue? Well, you know what? It's a sub 4 meter car, so let's not get carried away. But all of this cleverness gives you a good sense of space. Under thigh support is pretty good too. And the leg room is really very smartly designed. You don't really have much of a tunnel here, so it's almost flat. Good amount of leg room, great knee room, very nice shoulder room, and awesome headroom. So yes, I can now start to see why they're saying that the space on the inside is more like one segment higher, like a Seltos, and not like a Sonnet. That part is pretty evident. And of course, it also means that you can use the boot space either for stuff in the back or just to create more space for yourself here in the second row. The Harman Kardon sound system is also going to attract a lot of attention. Again, at the top end, there is no GTX version on this car, at least not yet. It's all tech line only. But yes, you've got 3 variants and they come fairly fully loaded. Now, prices will only be known in February. That's when the deliveries will start. But bookings will start right at the start of January. So it's going to be about 5-6 weeks of bookings. And then the prices come out. There is a fair amount that's going on this car. And I can tell you that it's interesting that Kia has decided to have a second subcompact SUV alongside the Sonnet, because this is the fastest growing segment in our market. This is based on the K1 platform though, which is the same platform that has globally cars like the Hyundai Casper or Insta, and in our market, cars like the Grand i10 and of course even the Carennes. So it's a smart use of the platform. It's a reinforced platform, so should be crash safe as well. We'll have to wait and see about that. And on the whole, plenty here to get our attention. Pricing and how it drives. Those are the 2 things left to find out.